this is Marco once again here on my process/journey in joining the California U.S. Army National Guard, particularly in the Officer Candidate School program. Today is September 3rd of 2022, and I'm 2 days behind on this video because I just got sworn in 2 days ago on September 1st, 2022. So yes, that was an exciting moment for me. I was able to get sworn in at the MEPS in San Diego. So yeah, that was an exciting moment for me. At that time, unfortunately at this time they still do not allow family and friends in your ceremony. So that was unfortunate for me. But yes, I for the National Guard, it's different than what I've heard from active and other reserves. Once I signed my contract, I am officially in the National Guard. So my contract is started exactly on September 1st of 2022. What I've heard, and I'm not sure if it's correct, but if I'm mistaken, feel free to let me know by dropping a comment down below. But they say that if you're active or certain reserve components, they say that your contract does not start until you ship out and go either you're in boot camp or you complete boot camp. I'm not sure which one it is. I can't really give you more details, but if you've been in the active side or the reserve side where they tell you your contract does not start until you get shipped out to boot camp, let me know so that way other people are aware of it as well. But for me, I am officially in. I'm officially in the National Guard. I am not an officer yet. That's still I'm still at the beginning stages of my journey. Like I said, this is always a huge process and you just have to go with it. Right now, I'm only considered an OCS candidate. And so like I mentioned on my last video, I still have to prove not only to myself, but I also have to prove to the military that, why I deserve to be an officer. And I still have to go through their academy and show, my abilities mentally and physically. So remember, your journey never stops. Always push yourself. That dedication and that pushing yourself harder will always, benefit you in the long run. Until that way, you have a company that will believe in you. So yes, so I first went to the hotel once again. I stayed over at the Marriott, which is approximately 5 minutes away from MEPS, and I checked in. Once again, they gave me the same briefing that I have to be in my room by 10 o'clock at night, and that they would do call-in at 3:30 a.m. and we have to be checked out and downstairs by 4 a.m. So that way we can also eat breakfast, and then if you're taking the shuttle or the bus, you can just take the bus right after breakfast. Dinner was between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. And so yeah, when I got there about 8 p.m. When I checked in, I was once again able to eat dinner. They still had the same thing from what they did 2 weeks ago, which was the entrees of either pasta or chicken tenders. I'm not sure if they change daily, but the 2 weeks, the 2 times that I was there, they're both the same for dinner portions. So if your hotel serves something differently, let us know, and let us know where, what city or state are you coming from, and maybe those hotels provide something differently. But yeah, so I ate my dinner, went upstairs, got to meet my new roommate for that night, which was only for a couple hours anyways, because I was gonna go to bed right after I took my shower. I got to talk to him for a little bit. I'm not gonna disclose any names, but he is in the process right now as well. He was still in the beginning of the process of doing the physical portion. And after that, I got to take my shower, went to bed, and got ready for the next day, because I was told that my packet was complete, and that the only thing I should be doing is going there and signing off my paperwork and being sworn in, which the first ceremony was supposed to be at 9 a.m. So I was assuming either 9 or 10 a.m. I would have been done and sworn in and been able to complete, my ceremony. However, there was some hiccups the following day, and it's fully understandable. They have they have a lot of things to do, but I did notice the following morning it started with the first hiccup where we woke up and went downstairs at 4 a.m. and I was there with my roommate, and of course it started off with breakfast wasn't done, or someone didn't show up for to prepare breakfast for all the candidates that were going to get ready for MEPS. So fully understandable. They just had to adjust to it, and they still fed us, but they didn't have the ordinary cooking like they did last time, which were sausages, eggs, and toast. So they had to quickly grab stuff from the back of the kitchen of the hotel, I'm assuming, and they still fed us like I mentioned, and they gave us a bowl of cereal with for us to put milk in it, and they did have quite a variety. I think they had like 4 types of cereal bowls where you just pour in the milk and you just eat it out of the bowl. Banana and a muffin, and then they also provided us with a naked juices, which were which are pretty pricey. So I wasn't complaining. I still had something to eat for breakfast. And once I got done eating, if you wanted to take the shuttle, you were able to stay there while everyone boarded the bus. If you were driving, you were able to just drive yourself to MEPS, which once again I did. And I just left from MEPS, from the hotel to MEPS, got there before 5 a.m. Once again, I was second in line from the roster, and that was about 5 o'clock. Everyone started coming in since it was Labor Day weekend. Of course, a lot of the staff at MEPS was gonna have like a 3 or 4 day weekend, so they were gonna obviously try to get us in and out as fast as they could, so that way they can finish their task and be able to start their vacation early, which is fully understandable. I don't blame them one bit. So once we got there at 5 a.m., I got checked in. You go through the screen. They do the same thing. You line up, and they'll give you the same spiel, such as can't have any weapons, can't have any sharp objects, can't have anything metal, and you will be going through a metal detector, and your stuff will be getting screened. So you just drop off. For me, all I had was my package, so I could show them if there's anything incomplete on their side, which would be the computer, which the package is this right here. It has all your stuff, all the information from your recruiter. It's all this information. In here is all the packets that I was talking from my previous videos, such as your birth certificates, your dependents' birth certificates, your social, your dependent social, my degrees, my transcripts from high school and college. They have my job title, my acceptance letter for the OCS program, as well as for them taking care of my student loans from college, which is going to be in my contract. So it's a pretty thick package. It's all in there. It's included, and then also all that stuff is updated into the computer system. So I took it just in case. My recruiter also told me to take it just in case if there's any issues. So I took that. That's all I took, including my wallet, keys, and phone. I walk in, metal detector. They search my stuff, and then I grab all my belongings. I go straight to my liaison, which is the National Guard liaison office. and they allow me to keep my phone, wallet, keys, and my packet in their office, so that way it's protective and nothing gets stolen. And so from there, I later went to the front desk, got checked in to make sure that they gave me my tag with my name, and then they have it was I believe ENL, meaning that you're there for enlistment. And so that way, while you're walking around, people know that you're there, why you're there, and who you are. So after I got done there, went back to my liaison, and at this time it was probably about 5:30, almost 6 in the morning. And so my liaison at the office said that everything looks good. The packet looks all complete on their end on the computer, and he just said that to go sit down in the front lobby where it's a waiting area for most of the candidates, and they will call me so that way I could get sworn in. And like I mentioned, this is between 5:30, 6 in the morning. So I was expecting to be sworn in by 9 or 10 a.m. So I go to the lobby waiting room for all the candidates that are meeting with their liaisons as well. Some of them are either already shipping out, so they're preparing for their shipment. Some of them are also enlisting, and then some of them are there for their full physical. So they still have to meet with their liaison when they're starting and then when they're ending. And it's just all the information that they'll keep from them, keep with them. So all I did was sit there and wait. For the San Diego MEPS, that waiting room does have a TV. They usually do play a movie. That day they were playing a movie, but I was more interested in getting in and getting out as fast as I could. And sure enough, 8 o'clock is coming around. Starts coming up to almost 8:30 in the morning, and then my liaison calls me in. And then I get told that apparently there's something going on, that they need to start fixing my stuff because they want to make sure that everything is cleared, such as my security clearance before I get shipped out. Because as an officer in certain MOSs or jobs, you do have to have some type of security clearances. So that way, they conduct their background on you. And for me, being an officer, being in a leadership role, such as like a management, they want to make sure that they conduct their backgrounds with me, and then I have a security clearance, so that way they don't have to worry about that later on. So they just wanted to make sure that all that was cleared before I got sworn in. So they had mentioned that there's some issues going on with my paperwork, and then they had to make some corrections. So they had to contact my recruiter because he's the one that has to make the corrections on his end and then put it back in the system. And of course, my recruiter was not at the office around that time, so he said it was going to take him about an hour to get to the office. So then I'm waiting another hour in the waiting room. So by this time, now it is going into about 9:30, going into 10 o'clock. When my recruiter finally completes that process, then I get called back in. Then we're starting to do some paperwork and finish all that up. And it's, of course, I can't blame them on this part, because when they make a correction on certain tabs or certain areas or sections in that system, apparently it kind of deletes certain things on certain tabs. So they have to go back in there and redo it, and then click submit, complete, so that way that section is completed. So that took a while. Later on, it's still prolonged all the way till past 11 o'clock, and I'm like, what is going on? So I also don't blame my liaison, because he was really working really hard, because he was there and he was working with me, but he also had to work with people that were either doing the full physical, or some of them were just arriving there for the ASVAB. So he had numerous things to juggle. So I don't blame him one bit. Once he started getting all that paperwork settled in, all my packet from the computer system completed, He ran it through me, which, you know, he explained everything, that I would be going to regular boot camp. I would be starting off as an E4, and of course that is that's the natural thing. What I've heard is that when you go in as a OCS candidate, you will go through regular boot camp, at least for the Army. You'll go through regular boot camp as an E4, and then after graduating boot camp, you will then get promoted to E5, and you will be an E5 going into OCS. And then once you graduate OCS, you will get commissioned, and then you become an O1. That's what my research have told me. That's what a lot of people have mentioned before. I'm not sure how other militaries do it, but you know, feel free to drop that comment so that way other people know about it. But that's what I am mentioning about the Army National Guard. So I made sure that all that was in there. So yes, I was going in as an E4 for boot camp. My boot camp was going to be, I told him I wanted my boot camp to be as soon as possible. So he had to make a call to someone, I'm not sure who, but that's how they arrange, your boot camp scheduling. So he asked me, the next one will be in October, and I told him absolutely, sign me up for that one. So I am going to be shipping out October 11th of 2022, and my boot camp starts October 17th, and I will be in Fort Jackson in South Carolina. So I'm looking forward to that. Nice little vacation for 10 weeks for sure, so that's going to be nice. So that's on my enlistment contract. They have me as a OCS candidate as well. That's my MOS, or as what they call O9 Sierra. That's what I am going into boot camp. So I was looking forward to that. My contract also showed the incentives, such as my federal grant being taken care of while I'm in the military. So I just wanted to make sure that was in there. He explained that, because for me, I'm only like at $10,000. I got lucky. When I graduated my bachelor's, I was at like $10,000 in debt. It wasn't that much, compared to a lot of my other friends that, graduate with over $20,000-$30,000 in debt. School can be pricey. But he mentioned that, they grant you, for federally grants, they grant you up to $50,000 in the military. This is what they also mentioned. It has to be a federal grant, and the federal grant has to be under your name that is enlisting. So it cannot be under your parents' name, your grandparents, or any type of friends or other family members. It has to be a federal grant, and it has to be under your name, and it's up to $50,000. That's what they had mentioned. And then, of course, the GI Bill will be kicked in later on as I, pursue my military career in this. So that was all in there. My liaison explained it, and it all made sense. So I was looking forward to everything. Being a OCS candidate, there is no signing bonus for me, but there is other signing bonus for other people. Just look into that. Speak to your recruiter. Some recruiters will give you those bonuses, but mine did not have one. So make sure that's in your contract if you're entitled to one. So after that was all completed, he had contacted one of the persons for my security clearance, where it was like a over the phone interview for my security clearance, and it was via phone. It took about 10-15 minutes, and once again it was I don't know who this guy was. I don't even know who he works for, but apparently he's the one that does like the background or FBI background to make sure that I passed the security clearance. And all he asked me was what was about my background, such as how many citations have I ever received, anything over $300 on my citations, when was my last citations, any type of bad debt collections in the past or currently, any type of current bankruptcy, or in the last 7 years have you filed bankruptcy, so any type of criminal history, have you ever been arrested, have you ever been detained, Have you ever been investigated for anything, any type of fraud? Have you ever had any type of dual citizenship? Have you ever lived or had any type of other citizenship outside of the United States? So for me, it was pretty, in my opinion, it was pretty easy and self-explanatory, especially being from law enforcement. I said no drug use. I've had collections in the past, but that was when I was 18, 19. So, a lot of times they do work with you, as long as you have that time gap to mature and, you taking care of your stuff in the past, a lot of government jobs do look into that and they will help you out. That also applies to law enforcement careers. Same thing. I've never filed for bankruptcy, but be mindful about this because I know sometimes certain issues. I know for me, my name is somewhat common, and someone had filed bankruptcy, and somehow it ended up in my name later on, and I ended up finding this out later on, and I got it cleared right away. I was like 19 when this bankruptcy showed up on my credit report, and I was like, what the heck's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, it shows that you filed for bankruptcy when you're like 17. I'm like, you cannot file for bankruptcy when you're 17 when you're not legally in the state of California, you're not legally authorized to sign any type of real estate contract if you are under 18. So that got cleared up right away. So make sure you are staying on top of your credit report. All right. If you're 17, 18 years old, that is one of your biggest things when you hit adulthood is your credit. All right. So make sure you stay on top of that. No one else is going to do it for you. Make sure you stay on top of your bills as well. So that's one thing. Mention my citations. I've had 3 citations in my life, and they all have been paid off. I've had 3 citations. 2 of them that I've taken traffic school. 1 of them I just paid off. And my last one was in 2012. So it's been over 10 years now that my last citation. So those all been taken care of. And then, he mentioned everything looked good, and then passed the phone over back to my liaison. He said that apparently it's all cleared. And then I go through my other phases. And you go through 3 phases before you get sworn in, which is phase 1 is your fingerprint. Phase 2 is where, you'll meet with like a counselor, what they call, I'm not sure what their title is. And they go over your contract and make sure that, you're willing to sign this at your own free will. You're not being forced to do this, and you're making sure that you know what's in your contract. And then your 3rd phase is when you get sworn in. So about this time, it is about 11 o'clock, 11:30 I would say. So I go into phase 1. I get fingerprinted once again. I have no idea why, but this is like the 2nd or 3rd time I get fingerprinted going into the military. So I get fingerprinted, and luckily, one of the counselors sees me and finishing up my fingerprint. She takes me right off the bat, which I go into phase 2. Phase 2, I get phase 2, she meets with me one-on-one. She goes over my whole contract that my liaison went over, making sure that I'm going into the U.S. Army National Guard. I am currently enlisted as an E4, going into boot camp. And that my federal financial aid is in there as well as a stipend, and that I am willing to sign. And that these are my dependents. This is who I am. These are my dependents that are going to be under me, and then this is when I'm going to be enlisting, and that everything is correct. I said yes, and I made sure that I told her that no one's forcing me to do this, and then I signed off on it. And then that's pretty much it. I got completed with that. So then I go on to phase 3, and by this time it's about 12:15, which is unfortunate because I missed the 12 o'clock swearing ceremony because if you're not aware, the swearing ceremonies are every hour on the hour. So like they told me, 9 o'clock will be the first one, and then the next one will be 10 o'clock, and then the next one 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, until their last swearing. And so yeah, I missed it by 10-15 minutes, which is unfortunate. So if you are finishing up with phase 2, it is nice when you finish off about that 40 to 50 minutes. That way you only have 10 to 15 minutes to wait. If you are like me, you got that lucky one where you finish about 10-15 minutes after, you have a long time frame. So I got back into the waiting room, waited. Luckily, I was able to go eat my lunch, which once again, it was just a sandwich with some chips and a banana and your water. So they still feed you. It's not, something that, is very, likable. But, when, you're going there and you haven't ate for about 4 or 5 hours, anything's pretty good. So, and the sandwich is not bad. So after I got done eating, that spared about 20 minutes. And then I went back, waited for another about 10-15 minutes, and got called in, did my swear-in ceremony. And then I did it with, I was a total, including myself, it was a total of 6 of us. You would not be the only one unless you are the only one for that hour. But for mine, it was a total of 6 of us, including myself. We got sworn in by one of the captains there. And then after we got sworn in, we went and met with the captain one-on-one for everyone that was sworn in. And he also revised everything, make sure that you know who you are. This is what you're going in, and this is when you're shipping out. And then you sign off, and then you put your fingerprint on it as well, or from a fingerprint scanner, because it goes into a computer system. It gets printed out, and then it gets on your file. So all that is on your record, and then you do get copies of it. It's all right here for me. I am taking pretty much this to boot camp with me, because I've heard other horror stories that if you don't have it during the receptions, it's a delay. I'm trying to avoid that. But yeah, other than that, I cleared out at about 1:30, 1:40 in the afternoon. Yes, I was kind of annoyed and upset, because I was supposed to be in and out either by 9 or 10 o'clock, but that's life, that's the job, which is fully understandable. It's technology. But main thing that kind of annoyed and upset me was because what was being done by between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. when I was waiting there, until they said that, oh, there's some errors. That's the part that kind of annoyed me, but it's understandable. Everyone's human. I don't hold grudges. I don't take it out on anyone. You gotta just be patient. If you're dedicated to something that you want to do, and it's something that is gonna motivate you, you'll find the patience in it. And this is where you have that opportunity to be able to later on change that. For me, that's how I always look at it. That's my path. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a couple of years now. It's a new challenge for me, and this is what I'm looking forward to. So I know the obstacles that are that are going to be thrown my way, but those are just obstacles that I just have to overcome. Because for me, no one's going to be able to defeat me but myself. And that's how everyone has to be looking at it when they move forward. All right. But this is the opportunity that I get. As for me, I'm the first one for my family and friends in law enforcement, and I'm definitely the first one in my family. But I do have a few friends, especially now being in law enforcement. I have a variety of friends that have either been in the military or are still in the reserves. But growing up, I only had one friend that joined right out of high school. Other than that, I'm gonna be the first one from my family and friends in law enforcement and in the military. So there is a good quote that I heard a while back, and it says, to get something that you never had, you have to do something you have never done, and that's always stuck with me. And of course, if you've never done it, you're gonna have to do something you've never done to get to that point. And for me, these are the steps. I've been blessed with a lot of my family and friends that have been supportive, and they have been able to provide me some assistance and guidance. But other than that, I am looking forward to this journey, to be go to boot camp and then become go through OCS and become a commissioned officer. So that way, I take that leadership role. I always try to strive to, be the best at my job and try to get that leadership role. So that way, people that, work with me. I don't like to really say under me, but work with me or alongside me. I love to be that mentor, and I love to be able to feedback on each other, whether, it doesn't matter on your ranking. For me, even in law enforcement, as when I, being an acting sergeant and a field training officer, I learned from my trainees and my squads as much as they learn from me. Everything in the government does change yearly, and that's life. But you just have to adjust to it, and learning from those that are older than you, and then those that are younger than you, makes you a well-rounded person, because you're not just sticking to one mindset and that's it. You're looking at other points of view, and then that's what helps you out. And that's what has helped me out when I was in law enforcement, and that's what I'm planning on carrying in military, and then becoming an officer as graduating OCS. I look forward to learning from people that say that they're enlisted, they're below. No, they're working alongside me, and I'm going to learn more from them. Then most likely I'm going to learn more from them than they're going to learn from me, because a lot of them have been active and they have more knowledge of the military. So I have to learn from them before I can start learning more stuff and then being able to guide other people. And that's my expertise, and that's what I'm planning on doing. And then that's the way I grow. If you have a different method, feel free to let me know and drop it down below. But other than that, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything about the process for law enforcement, military, like I said, I'm in the beginning stage of military, but I'll provide any type of resources that I currently have. My vacations that I've taken, such as my traveling, and then also my my entrepreneur that I do on the side, such as real estate investment and just starting this new business as a party rental. Feel free to just drop that comment. I'll get back to you guys. If there's anything that you want me to go more in depth in a video, or any type of videos that you guys want me to make, feel free to let me know. Other than that, I'll keep you guys in the loop on my next process, which I believe will be me packing my stuff to go to boot camp. And then I'll show you guys what I'll be taking before I leave, and then I'll show you guys the process as I take off. And then of course when I go to boot camp, they'll take my phone. That's what everyone has mentioned, and obviously I would not be able to make a video until after I return from boot camp. But till then, I have about a month left before I take off. But other than that, take care.